Our next speaker I want to introduce you to is a very special friend of mine. I met Kristy. Gosh, how long ago did we meet?
November.
Was it just November? It feels like we go way further back. Did we stretch some
We
time
have
a
done
little
a lot since November, my
bit?
friend.
We've done a lot since November, but have you ever met someone and it doesn't feel like you're meeting them, you're remembering them? Does anyone know someone like that? Am I getting a little woo-woo in here? That's okay, I'm alright with that. Kristy's one of those people because she speaks to my soul. And when I met Kristy, I felt it. I didn't just meet her, I felt it. And I felt everything that she does, and she puts on these amazing events for kids, and she's the director of these events, and she teaches women and men how to find their voice and reclaim their power, which is exactly what we're here to do today. So if you'll help me welcome with getting on your feet and putting your hands together, the one and only Kristy Hunter, ladies and gentlemen.
I love voice lessons because Kristy's so positive and empowering, and she makes me feel good about my speech and makes me feel confident in it.
Thank you all so much for being here today. You being here today marks me completing a dream I've had for over 30 years. And I'm so excited to share my message with you. So my name's Kristy Hunter, and I own the Vocal Connection. And I truly believe that our voices are the strongest thing we have in our lives. And when we connect them with our true emotions and we share them with other people, we will be able to cause change in them and ourselves. Today, I'm going to talk about the 5 steps to overcoming overwhelm. Because I don't know about you, but I've spent a lot of my life in overwhelm. Overwhelm happens for a lot of reasons. It happens when we're getting ready for something important, like a speaking event. It also happens when there's hard things going on. Maybe a divorce, or we lost a job, or we had an illness. Even my cute little 10-year-old last week, she was so overwhelmed. She had an earache, she missed school for a few days, we were in the car, she couldn't even get out of the car, she was just crying, Mom, I'm so overwhelmed. We all have these moments, but the thing about overwhelm is it makes us stuck. It makes us stop and not be able to do anything. But if we learn these simple steps, we can choose to get out of it faster. Now, that does not mean we won't get overwhelmed. Overwhelm is going to happen. But what if we were overwhelmed for a few minutes or a few hours instead of days, weeks, or years? Who thinks that would be great? Woo! Yes! So today we're going to talk about the steps to navigate through emotional overwhelm and find the power in your voice and become resilient and loving. Can everyone get behind that? Woo! So, for the last 25 years, I have been a closet songwriter, maybe longer. And what that means is I wrote songs to help me get through some of my overwhelming times. But I was kind of scared to share those songs with people because, I don't know, I didn't know if I was good enough. Anyone ever have those emotions? Like, I don't know if I'm that cool. Okay? So, I kind of kept them to myself. Sometimes I'd share them with a really close family member or a friend. I had a whole posse at the care center that knew my songs and they would request them. That was cool. But for the most part, I was a closet songwriter. But Dolly Parton really tells me why I was a songwriter, because she says, songwriting is my way of channeling my feelings and my thoughts My head would explode if I didn't get some of that stuff out. And that is truth. So over the years, I have this huge binder full of songs. Probably I've written over 100 songs. And just this year, and thanks to a thing called Breakthrough that I learned about in November, it was my first time experience or watching a breakthrough, I got brave. I let go of the limiting beliefs that I'm not good enough, that my songs aren't good enough, and I realized, you know what, I'm really cool. My songs are cool, and they deserve to be heard. And I have a reason that I'm here, and I have a purpose. And for years, I watched Hillary Weeks perform in Time Out for Women. I said, man, someday I want to do that. But inside, I didn't feel like I was worthy of that. And today, I made the decision I am. Woo! This is my happy ending. This is a beautiful picture of my son's wedding that took place on August 5th this last summer. This was seriously the best day of my life up to now. Now, looking at that picture, if I put it on Facebook, everyone would be like, oh, that's such a beautiful day, what an exciting event. But they would have no idea what it took to get to that picture. Because usually what we post on Facebook is just the highlights, like when our kid hit that winning goal, yes! Or we bought our new house. Or maybe we got the dream job we've always wanted. We often don't share stuff between the lines. The really hard stuff. Stuff we don't want anyone to see. Because it's scary. Because what if they saw that and then they didn't like me? Or what if they saw that and thought I wasn't strong enough? Or what if they saw that and they didn't talk to me anymore because it was overwhelming to them? So we hide. But today, I'm going to share between the lines. And it means we have to go back a long, long way. Now, I want to remind you, we end with a happy ending, everybody. So as we go back, and we have some ups and downs and lows and highs, I want you to remember that. We go back to 1998. This is when I married my sweetheart, Jason. And he was going to the U of U, and I was going to the BYU. And somehow, we still made it work. And we got married after dating for 2 years. And we were doing great. We were going to school. I graduated as a recreational therapist. I was helping people. I was performing. He had graduated. And after about 2 years, we decided, you know what? I think we should start a family because everybody around us was doing that. And I was the youngest of 11 kids. And all my sisters had babies. And all my brothers' wives had babies. My nieces were having babies. I was like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to get married. I'm supposed to have babies. But for some reason, that was not happening. And month after month, which turned into year after year, I wasn't getting pregnant. And the longer that went on, I started to get a little bitter. I started to get a little frustrated. But I couldn't tell anybody I was frustrated. Like when my friend came up and said, I'm pregnant for the third time. And I was like, yay, I'm so happy for you. And then I would go home and cry for 2 hours. So I started wearing this mask. I was super successful. I had a great job. I was performing at the Hale Theater. I was doing all kinds of things. But on the inside, I was pretty broken. And I was really sad, and I felt like I wasn't enough. And I felt like, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be a mom, and if I'm not a mom, then I'm not anything, and I'm failing, and what's the point of all this? So 1 month, I really thought I was pregnant. Like, I was late. I was nauseous. I had all the symptoms. I was like, this is it. And for some reason that month, when my cycle started, I couldn't handle it anymore. I went into my closet, and I got this lump in my throat. Have you ever experienced a lump in your throat? So a lump in your throat is actually your false vocal folds closing. We have these magical things in our throat called false vocal folds. They're in your larynx. And what they do is they stop you from choking. It's really good. Like, they can make it so food doesn't go down your windpipe. We like them. But they also close when we're anxious, when we're scared, when we have something to say but we don't think we should, when we're trying to choke back emotion. And whenever somebody at church would come up and say, when are you going to have a family? And I wanted to yell at them, instead I would shove that down and say, in God's time, it'll happen. But on this day, I was there. And in my vocal studio, I am always telling my students, the only way to get rid of that is to fully retract your false vocal folds. Now, there's only two ways your false vocal folds fully retract. One is when we sob, when we cry out loud, or when we laugh with a guffawn belly laugh. And so in my studio, we often say, why, Mom, why? To get that open cry that makes our voice be strong and heard. And on this day, I knew I had to let it out. And I wrote this song. As I sing it, I hope you'll think about any broken dreams you may have had. Expectations, broken dreams, a heart filled with despair. Wanting good things everywhere, but somehow no one seems to care. How do I not become bitter in this world of broken dreams? How do I continue to raise my voice and say, I know it's irrational, I know I'm not practical, but my heart just doesn't agree. So many broken dreams. Tears are streaming down my chin. I try to hide away. You come closer, want to understand, but I just don't know what to say. How do I not become bitter in this world of broken dreams? How do I continue to raise my voice and say, no, it's irrational, I know I'm not practical, but my heart just doesn't agree. So many broken dreams. Oh, don't want more broken dreams. Broken dreams. Dear God, please mend these broken dreams. Oh, help me not become bitter in this world of broken dreams. Please help me continue to raise my voice and say, I need something practical to feel less irrational, 'cause my heart is broken, you see. Dear God, please mend these broken dreams. In that moment, I realized I needed help. I needed help. I couldn't do it by myself. But the first step to overcoming overwhelm is acknowledging that you have emotions. They're real. You have to acknowledge that you're there. You have to acknowledge you're in a depression. You have to acknowledge that you're sad or angry or frustrated. What are those? And you have to find a way to release them. I release them through song. You might release them through art or writing or through talking to a therapist or a friend. But they have to be acknowledged. You can't keep pretending they're not there. And you have to release them. The second thing is you have to ask for help. I ask for help from God, but you might ask for help from a therapist or a friend or a family member. Because sometimes when we're in that dark space, we can't do it alone. But as we ask for help, all of a sudden we can go, okay, maybe there's something more. And I did that. And as I did that, God led me to the most unimaginable places. I met this fabulous woman at the library. She was a Peace Corps recruiter. And she called me and she said, "You ever heard of the Peace Corps?" And I said, "No." She said, "It's a program for people who have their 4-year degree, and you go to a third world country, and you teach and you serve. And the rule is you can't have any kids." I qualified! I was like, well, that sounds really cool. I think I'd rather do that than be here watching everyone have babies. So I went home and I told my husband, I said, "Hey, have you ever heard of the Peace Corps?" And he said, "Isn't that for a bunch of hippies?" And I said, "Yeah, but it's also for people like us who have 4-year degrees and want to go travel and want to see the world and want to serve and don't have kids." And he said, "Okay, let's do it." So we got called to serve in Mongolia. Woo! And we lived in this garret, like a little tent thing, for 2 years. And we chopped wood, and we carried water, and we had electricity every other day for 4 hours. And it was magnificent, because I got to find myself in service. As I served all of these people, I gained so much. I learned that I have so much value. Even though my dream of being mom hadn't happened, I had other important skills. I was really good at working with people. I was really good at being a life skills teacher and doing camps and teaching kids. And I was like, hey, kind of cool. And it really helped me get out of that low spot. So I did that. And about 1 year into this experience, I had a dream. And this dream was very, very vivid. And I don't usually remember my dreams, so this was a big deal. And I had a dream that I wasn't going to be able to have kids. And I was going to need to adopt. And I woke my husband up and I said, "Hey, Jason, I just had this dream and it was really real. And this is what I heard." And he said, "It's probably just a dream." I said, "Okay, but if I turn 29 and we haven't had any kids, I want to look into adoption." And he said, "Okay," and rolled over and went back to bed. I thought about it a little longer, but I also just went back to sleep. I was about 26 at the time. We finished up our time in the Peace Corps. It was amazing. We loved every minute. We came home. We went to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where my husband started grad school, and I was working as a recreational therapist, and the miracle happened. I actually became pregnant. Yes, I did. I had a real pregnancy test. It was positive. I was throwing up every day. It was the best. But sadly, before the end of my first trimester, I miscarried. A little boy I like to call Michael. And again, I was overwhelmed. And I was overwhelmed to the point that I said, "I'm done. I gotta go home. I gotta get help. I can't be here." And my husband loved me, and he said, "Okay, let's go home to Utah." And we did, and we came home. And I got into some therapy. I got into working through my emotions and my emotions about loss and my emotions about infertility and a lot of things. And time kept going. And I got closer and closer to my 29th birthday. And as we were just a few months away from my 29th birthday, I reminded my husband, "Remember that dream I had?" He said, "Yeah." And then he looked at me and he said, "Kristy, am I not enough? We've been married almost 10 years. I said, "It's not that you're not enough. It's just, I know I'm supposed to be a mom." And so, because he loved me, he agreed. And you'd think that adopting, at least I thought, oh, this is going to be easy because we're like adults who have our degrees, and he was almost 34, I was turning 29. Like, this is going to be a cinch. It was not. It was actually very difficult. And doors kept slamming, and we weren't able to get the right things connected. And so finally we decided maybe we should do foster care. And we set up the appointment with the Foster Care Foundation for the day after my 29th birthday. It was going to be on August 14th, and I was like, this is it. This is what God was telling me, this is it. Well, just a little bit before that, so about 2 weeks before that, I get a phone call from my sister. And I'm at work, I'm working at a doctor's office at the time. She says, "Kristy, there's a little boy who needs a home. You need to come to my house right now to be his aunt." And I said, "I'm the only one at my work. I can't leave right now." She's like, "You gotta leave right now." 2 minutes later, my boss walks in and just said, I felt like I was supposed to be here. What's going on? And I'm like, I gotta go to my sister's. I kind of explained the situation. She's like, go. And this mantra kept going through my mind. Be patient and watch as miracles unfold. And when I got there, the aunt showed me this picture. And the minute I saw it, I knew he was my son. This is Dylan. Dylan was a heroin baby. Dylan had been in 4 other homes before this. He was only 5 years old. Dylan was living with an aunt up in Logan who had 5 other kids and was overwhelmed and didn't know if she could handle it and was looking for a new placement. Now, telling you all the miracles that happened to get him to my house would take forever and would take way longer than we have today. But basically, we convinced family members. I talked to my husband and he said yes. And the day before I turned 29, we met Dylan. And he was living with us within 2 weeks. Woo! So I was a mom. The dream, you guys. I was a mom and we had the most beautiful honeymoon period ever. It was incredible. And he just left his aunt's house. Like, I knew that God had told me he was my son, and I was like, God told him that I was his mom because he just like walked away and came with us. And I was like, he knows I'm his mom forever. And it was amazing and it was magical. Well, this was the interesting part because we did this as a private adoption. Jason and I never actually took the foster care classes or learned any of the stuff you should probably know when you adopt a child with trauma. That might have been helpful. And so as the months are going on, he's having some behaviors that are a little bit intense, but not wanting anyone to think I'm a bad mom. I started masking again, and I would just kind of ask people, and so he has these like tantrums. They're like, oh, all kids have tantrums. I'm like, okay. So he's like stealing from his class members a lot. And they're like, yeah, all kids steal. I'm like, okay. Because of course, right? I'm perfect. I can do this. I wanted to be mom forever. So I'm trying to do this, and my husband's getting more and more overwhelmed. And the day before the adoption's supposed to be finalized, Jason comes to me. And he says, Kristy, I don't know if I can do this. I'm not ready. Can we just keep it foster care? Like, I just need more time. I'm not ready. And in that moment, I made a decision to bulldoze him. And I made the decision, I said, he is my son. And he deserves a family. And we're doing this tomorrow. And because he loved me, he said yes. And I will never, ever regret adopting Dylan. When I look at my husband's eyes in this picture, I do regret not listening, not giving him the time to be ready. Because if I had, the next 10 years might have been a little different. So we adopt Dylan, and the next day, I find out I'm pregnant. Woo! And I'm pregnant with a little girl, and 9 months later, I have my Julianne. Woo-hoo. And it's amazing. But we're also stuck in what's called a drama triangle. Because Dylan has a lot of different behaviors. And though I know I'm supposed to be his mom, sometimes he's telling me I'm not his mom. In fact, he's telling me that I kidnapped him. And he's telling me he's going to go to the prison and find his real parents. And my husband's coming home and I'm crying in the corner. And he's like, you said this was going to make you happy. And I'm like, I'm really happy. And we're doing this, but we don't know what's going on. And I am still in that place of not wanting anyone to know there's a problem. Until we hit about 3rd grade. When we hit 3rd grade, we moved schools, and we had lived in the principal's office at the other school. I kind of thought I should just change my address to the principal's office. But when we got to 3rd grade, we had an amazing principal who had more experience with kids like Dylan, and she called me in, and at that point, I was a wreck. Like, I was a bawling mess. Because I'm like, I obviously can't be a mom. I'm terrible at this. And she's like, have you heard of reactive attachment disorder? I said, no. She's like, I really think you need to go talk to a therapist and look at a diagnosis. So I call his aunt, and I say, have you heard of this? They said, no. But But he was seeing a therapist before he came to you. So why don't you go talk to them? I get the paperwork. It's about this thick. And Dylan already had a diagnosis of ADHD and reactive attachment disorder before he came to us that we were never told about. So he was not being treated. And I didn't even know what RAD was. So I start researching it, and I find out that reactive attachment disorder happens when a child can't attach their parents because of being passed around a lot. And it makes their nervous system actually never relax. So they steal, they lie, they throw these tantrums because they literally feel like it's a life or death experience. And when he left his aunt's house to come live with me, it wasn't because he knew God was like, you're supposed to be my mom. It was because he's like, okay, I do this all the time. I don't care. I don't have stranger danger. I'll go live with whoever. Which is why when he was with us and things got hard, he's like, can I go live somewhere else? It doesn't really work that way, sweetheart. So in that moment, I was like overwhelmed again. Because all I wanted is for him to love me, and I didn't know if he ever would be able to. The last page of that huge stack of documents said, Aunt has found a new placement for Dylan. I've asked her to have the couple come meet with us for full disclosure before they make this decision. That never happened. Now, I love his family, and I know they were overwhelmed. But sometimes I wonder if I'd known how much faster could I have gotten him out. And that day I went to my closet just sad. Because I was in this place where I wanted so badly for him to love me. I wanted so badly to heal everything. And I wrote this out. Why don't you love me? Why can't you believe what I say? Why do our hearts feel frozen every day? When I look at you, I feel the chill within your eye. Oh, how I want you to love me. I want to hold your heart each day, even when you push me away. I only want to hold you and say, everything will turn out okay. Why don't you leave me? Why do you try to hide away? Why do our minds spin in circles different ways? As I look at you, I feel the tempest rise inside. Because I want you to love me. I want to warm your heart each day, even when you push me away. I only wanna hold you and say, everything will turn out okay. So, in that moment, I decided I would fix everything. I will fix ADHD, I will fix RAD, I will fix the relationship between my husband and my son, and I dove myself into service, and I dove into asking for help. I got therapists on board, I got medication on board, I got my son into all kinds of very cool things. He succeeded in so many things because of all the things we were doing. And during this process, another miracle happened. I had my baby girl. My daughter had prayed for a sister for 3 years, and finally she was born. And all of these things were going really, really, really well. But the problem is, my son turned 15, and a thing called agency happened. And all of a sudden he started making choices that were not what I would have wished for him, or for me, or my husband definitely didn't enjoy them. started to have this rift again. And those choices got to the point that he got arrested. In that moment, I went and I turned to God again. But this time, I wasn't sad. I was angry. And I was like, God, why did you give him to me if he's just going to end up in jail like his parents? What is the point? And in that moment, he said, I didn't give him to you to fix. I gave him to you to love. And I realized that I couldn't fix anyone else. I couldn't fix Dylan. I couldn't fix Jason. I couldn't fix their relationship. The only thing I could do was love them exactly where they were. And as I did that, they would be able to heal themselves. So I'll be here waiting patiently. Yes, I'll be here every day. Oh, I'll be here no matter what you say. 'Cause when I look at you, the ice all melts away. 'Cause I know that I love you. I know that you need me every day. It's a love, not me, you're pushing away. I'm right here to hold you and say, everything will turn out okay. And I learned in that moment that the fourth step to overcoming overwhelm is agency and unconditional love. Because if we ever are serving people and we're helping people and we're asking for help, but we have an expected outcome, like it's only good if this is what happens, we're gonna end up back in overwhelm because we don't get to control other people's choices. We don't get to control what other people think, what other people do, how they react. So the only thing we can do is respect their agency and love them right where they are. And as I did that, my son started to realize I really wasn't going anywhere. I was his fifth mom, but I was really not going anywhere no matter what. He knew I could love him in jail, I could love him out of jail. I could love him when he was making good choices or bad choices. I could love him anywhere. And as I did that, he succeeded. He graduated his therapeutic program. He graduated from high school. He's the best big brother ever. And I allowed my husband to decide to step out of his life. And I allowed him to go and tell Dylan, I'm not your dad. I'm just the man married to your mom. And in doing that, I allowed Dylan to go and find his biological father. And that was a whole nother miracle. And build a gorgeous relationship with a man he hadn't known since he was 5. And I went into this idea of unconditional love, and as I did it, I lived 2 separate lives, you guys. I was a single mom with 3 kids, and I was a mom with a husband and 2 daughters. But the difference was I wasn't wearing a mask anymore. Everybody around me knew that I lived this life, and I was okay with it. And I taught my daughters, you can love your brother and you can love your dad. You don't have to choose. I don't have to choose. We get to love them both exactly where they are and they'll figure it out. As I did that, I was filled with this ability to see people where they are and help them. And I got the magnificent opportunity to become the musical director at Center Stage Youth Performers and open my own studio and help build confidence and fill people with love. And I think I'm one of the best cheerleaders out there. 5 is believing. You have to believe that life happens for you and not to you. There are going to be times of overwhelm. There are going to be times when you're like, how is this happening? There are going to be times when you don't know what's next. But if you can believe that the things happening to you are to help you be stronger, that are to help you so you can help someone else in the future, you're going to be able to get through it faster. 7 years. I waited 7 years, living 2 lives. But on my son's wedding day, my husband chose to come to the wedding. And he chose to stand in that picture. And it was my first family picture in 7 years. And since that time, we've had family dinners, and we've played games, and my husband said they're welcome anytime they want. And we're healing. And it's amazing, because it was on their timetable, not mine. These 5 steps can be done quickly, they can be done slowly. But as you work through them, I promise you can get from that place of stuck to a place of moving forward. And it will change your life. We've created Power Within to become a place where women, men, kids, anybody can come and learn how to heal, because you have to heal first. Because we all have stuff we have to heal from. And once you're started on the healing process, you can begin to serve other people. And then you can create, because we're all meant to be creators. And then you can teach other people to do the same. I've written an anthem called Power Within, and as a songwriter, you actually change your words like thousands of times, and I actually only finalized these words like 4 days ago. So, I will probably be looking over here, because they've changed so many times. But this is the song that I hope will inspire you. If you feel like you're not enough, and you keep on wondering why, let's take a good look what's deep inside. Find your dreams and let them fly. Because you are unique in this universe. You're the only you that's ever been. Help you believe you're therapeutic breakthrough with vocal coaching. And allowing people to come in and let go of their limiting beliefs. And then releasing them through song. And then gaining those new, stronger beliefs. And instilling them through song. And it's magical to see how it happens. Today is a gift. If you scan your QR code, you get the 3 songs I sang today as an MP3 download, so you can get those for free. I want to leave with you a quote by Julie Andrews. Your voice is your calling card. It's the first thing people hear, and it tells them everything about who you are. So own your voice. Decide who you want to be. Decide what you want to share. And do it. Because you have the power with it. Thank you.
Kristy Hunter, ladies and gentlemen. I have to tell you, when I first heard her story, I thought any one of those things would take a weaker individual down. This woman has heart and strength, and it shows. Give her another round of applause.